There's the Campbell Fighting Camels, a 20-12 season for head coach Kevin McGeehan. Clemens joined by Whitfield, Gensler, Chapman, and Udy in the starting five tonight for Coach McGeehan, who's gone 8-4 against SoCon teams in his 6 years in Buies Creek. And for Wes Miller, a familiar five. Miller and Alonzo, the precocious backcourt with Troy, Galloway, and Dickey up front. These teams know each other despite the fact they haven't played in a while. Wes Miller told me earlier today he recruited Voyard Tadal and Ty Meitzel are your officials tonight as the NIT tips off one of 10 National Invitation Tournament games across the country this evening. And UNC Greensboro wins the opening tip. Demetrius Troy, one of the many seniors on this Greensboro squad, runs the offense for the Spartans.
UNCG runs a lot of motion offense, a lot of inside out. They look for dribble penetration like that.
Isaiah Miller is the team's leading scorer, Stan, in conference play.
Long, athletic at 6'2", 6'3". Can really be a good defender. In fact, it's a Southern Conference Defensive Player of the Year. Started out in man, UNCG, drops back into some matchup zone.
Aside from Clemens, Andrew Udy might be Campbell's most indispensable player. He dishes for Nelson, and Udy's tip won't go. Controlled by Dickey.
I really think one of the keys for Campbell is how Udy plays. He's a great facilitator. He's a shot blocker. He's a guy that can score inside as well as outside. The matchup between he and Dickey will be very interesting as we go on.
Francis Alonso's first shot rims out. Clemens picked up by Miller. Pretty good defensive player. The Southern Conference thought so. Named him Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah.
And there's James Dickey, who was the Defensive Player of the Year in the SoCon last season. Chapman explodes past him and gets two.
Isaac Chapman can drive the basketball very well. He's got length at 6'6", only a freshman.
90 seconds in. Outside shot for Troy, rims out. Let's take a look at our looters' loot of the night.
Well, I got a lot of loot for you. Here it is. Protect the rough. They only average about 10 points, 10 rebounds a ball game. That at Campbell. Handle the ball. Get some good looks for this guy. And the backcourt ballers. You're seeing the big baller himself starting off the ball game for Campbell.
That was Chris Clemens' 136th three of the season to put the Campbells in front.
Clemens comes off screens. He does a lot of things individually. He'll ISO for him a lot of ways, but he gets his shots off, and you've got to be engaged with him defensively if you're UNC Greensboro.
Demetrius Troy tried to get to the rim. Ball pinballs into the hands of Chapman, and the Camels get a stop.
Chapman, we saw score of basketball a minute ago, averages about 5 rebounds a game. Very long, very athletic.
That was halfway down, but it's Gensler whose putback is swatted away. Galloway the rejection. Miller the kick out. No one was there, and then Galloway fills the space and missed the shot. Campbell ball. First subs of the game, Spartans. Malik Massey and Eric Hamilton enters. We look at Kevin McGeehan, the 2019 Big South Coach of the Year.
Ren Galloway that takes the long-range jumper on one end, had the shot block. Number 8 in the conference in block shots, coming in with 34. Has got the length at 6'8", runs the floor exceptionally well, and can be one of the X factors for the Spartans this afternoon.
Inside to Udy. This Campbell team playing in the NIT for the first time, but they are no strangers to the postseason as Udy gets two.
Udy's got the size. He can use both hands very well. He's got soft hands and great timing.
Spartans in a hurry, turn it over. 7 straight points for Campbell after UNCG scored first. Each of the last 2 years, Stan, not only did Campbell play in the postseason, they won 2 games, first in the CIT and then in the CBI. Deep shot off the bracket, and a gang of Spartans there for the rebound. Miller pulls it down.
Campbell has a style of play that's very conducive to postseason play. If you don't come out mentally ready, especially on defense, they can get shots, they crash the glass, and they don't turn the basketball over very much.
I think in the Big South, Campbell regarded as one of the tougher teams to prepare for because of their style, and a guy named Clemens has something to do with that as well.
It's a team in Campbell that averages about 75 points a ball game. This is what they'd like to do, get in open court, look for transition jump shots.
Spartans do get back. I was wondering heading into this game, Stan, how fast does Campbell want to go? Because UNCG can play pretty well quickly as well.
Well, talking to their coaches, they said they'll take the tempo that's going to be best conducive for them. If that means a quick tempo, they're making baskets. If that's a slower tempo, they've got to be smart on the half court.
Scramble ahead to Jacor Nelson. Timeout, Wes Miller. 9-0 run for the Camels.
1-1, and you look at this, is that going to be an advantage? I don't know. Campbell, 17 games, they had more free throws made than their opponents. UNCG, 20. So both teams like to get to the free throw line. Be interested to see what happens when you get to that fifth foul or more.
Asked the referees before the game, are they ready for the new rules? And they all kind of rolled their eyes and said, we're going to do our best.
So we'll see how they interpret them.
Offensive foul called on the Spartans, who have gone cold. They scored the first 2 of the game. Wes Miller's team has not scored since in more than 4 minutes. And the foul there on Eric Hamilton.
And see, I'm not so concerned right now. Good timeout by Wes. Get his team ready to play. They got hit in the mouth early. A couple of bad shots. Didn't get a rebound. The forced tempo by Campbell. They'll settle into this basketball game. These are 2 well-coached, solid teams.
And you think of Campbell being Chris Clemens and everybody else, but so far 4 different Camels have scored. Clemens hit the 3 twos for 3 other guys. Here's Udy.
Well, that's the guy I really like. I mean, Clemens gets a lot of attention, 30 points a ball game. We'll talk about all his numbers as the game goes on. But Udy's their glue. He can catch it. He can score in the mid-post. They're going to have to find a way to stop him if you can't overly concerned with Udy.
Clemens just completely picked the pocket of Massey. Are you surprised by this start?
No, not really, and I'll tell you why in a second.
Clemens uses the English off the glass.
He's an explosive scorer. He scored a 3. He had the reverse drive right there. They made some baskets. UNCG has got to understand the tempo of this basketball game. You can't worry about the fact that you're the last team in. You didn't get the bench. You got to play basketball now. But I did think Campbell would get off to a decent start, and they have.
Isaiah Miller forces his way to his spot. He scored all 4 points so far for UNCG.
Miller can really elevate. 30 games he scored in double figures this season. Can score in the mid-post. That's a nice post move. Good call.
From about 30 feet, Clemens bounces it over the backboard.
He shot that almost in Winston-Salem. Closer to Kernersville, not quite in Winston-Salem. But it's going to get deeper, trust me.
And yet, he makes 1 or 2 of those every game.
Every game. And you know what that does? That's almost like a 4 or 5 point play because you can't believe he would shoot it. You don't believe he made it, and it demoralizes the team because where do you need to guard this guy from? When he gets off the bus.
One more full court pressure. See if Greensboro can get into a rhythm at the offensive end. Aside from Isaiah Miller, there has been no rhythm whatsoever.
Try to get Alonzo on some type of ball screen or cross screen. There's a screen across right there. That's a good look for him. Good defense by Campbell.
Francis Alonzo into the paint. Shot bounces out, though. Gensler outlet to Whitfield, ahead Udy. Acrobatic catch, gets it to Clemens, who explodes down the middle and banks it in.
See, that's not all three-point baskets, folks. That's a guy that you got to be concerned about it. He puts it on the floor and drives by 4 defensive Spartans watching Clemens go and score his 7th point of the night.
Clemens 3 for 6. Shot rims out for the Spartans again. This time Hunter hunting for a 3. Clemens looks like the fastest guy in the gym right now.
And all these baskets, primary Evan, have been what? In the paint. One of the things that the UNCG staff said, we cannot allow them to penetrate.
Campbell coach Kevin McGeehan disappointed that Alonzo got the wide open 3. He missed it, but the easy stick back gets the Spartans back within 11.
Good follow that time by James Dickey. Just settle in if you're the Spartans, play defense, long game. Don't get caught in a run game with Campbell.
Only had 1 whistle for a foul in nearly 8 minutes. I'm not sure the reset at 10 minutes is going to be much of a factor in this first half. Udy to the cutting Campbell. It's Isaac Chapman, and Wes Miller has seen enough. Another UNCG time. It's an intriguing bracket, Stan.
Yeah, it's the North Carolina bracket practically. And I tell you what, it's some interesting matchups, especially down the road. But you can't worry about down the road. Stay where you are. 19 points for Campbell. 14 of them have been in the paint.
They made it look easy.
Very much so. And I think that's the biggest concern Wes has got after the timeout. You got to get your guy going. Lonzo with a good look that time.
That is the guy that Wes Miller wants to get going, his first team All-Southern Conference performer. Wes Miller said one of the greatest who's ever played at this university, in this league, and as selfless and humble as anyone he's ever coached.
So there's your ISO with UD, and they feel like he can win that matchup.
Not this time, though. Galloway grabs the rebound.
If you're Greensboro, just take your time. The Spartans don't need to rush. Yeah, they've been hit in the mouth. Settle in, run your half-court set. You didn't win 26 games by accident. You're a good basketball team.
From the other side, same result for Alonzo.
You get him cooking. You get this crowd in mind. Get them excited. Some good things can happen. And if you're Campbell, go back to your pace of play.
Francis Alonzo, 41% from three for his career. He's 11 threes away from 400. This guy's made a bunch of threes too. This time is short. Straight away, Galloway's trailer three pops out. And the foul on Hunter.
Talk about Francis Alonzo being able to move it out the ball. It's a little baseline screen. He's got a very, very quick release on his jump shot. Gets his feet set, toes the line. Came in having made 89 three-point baskets. The all-time leading three-point shooter in Spartan basketball history. Knocks down two quick ones. Gets him some get back in this ball game.
Alonzo now less than 50 points away from becoming the all-time leading scorer in the history of this school. You figure if the Spartans can put a couple of wins together in this tournament, he can get there. Oh
my goodness!
Speaking of getting there, Chris Clemens,
Little
welcome
dynamite.
to the
Did you
NIT.
see it? Little dynamite. Gets in there and explodes.
He's not just a shooter.
No, he's not.
With that slam, Clemens emphatically moves in double figures. Three bounces out. Offensive rebound, though. Stuck back up and in. Mohamed Abdul Salam, the talented freshman from Nigeria.
Salam, not known as a big scorer, can take up some space inside. Good job catching it and putting back up strong. Here's your ISO set. They use a cutter. See, all the eyes, everybody's kind of watching inside. He's just going to work.
And no one's cutting. They're just letting him ISO.
Yeah, and what happens, you go into the block, and everybody's got great spacing. And so it's just a matter of him getting inside position like he did there. Udy's a dangerous player.
Looking for Stan Luter on the sideline. They missed you by two people.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I was wide open, too. Watch this. Little man going up strong. Bam! Dynamite. He's 5'9". That's about your height, isn't it?
It is.
About you got 5'10"? I'm going to give you that.
5'9" and a half.
Okay. Can you do that?
With a trampoline.
Yeah, that's what I thought. The leading scorer in the country.
Now, I'll tell you, I had more hops when I was 22 than I do now.
So you could do that.
On a 9-foot hoop, maybe.
It doesn't matter. 2 points, 2 points.
Clemens again exploding. Teardrop too high. Stick back wouldn't fall for Nelson.
I think this is a very important possession for UNCG.
Well, they attacked well, but unable to convert.
You got them on a miss. You had a transition basket. You're not able to score off that. And now you're back in the isolation mode again. Clemens and UD.
Well, it's interesting. Campbell has relied on Clemens scoring for a bunch of years. And he scored a bunch of years. This is the first year they won the league, and a lot of it is because of the defense they played as a team.
They're a very good defensive team. 5th best in their conference, giving up about 70 points a ball game.
Clemens crossover. 3!
And that was good defense by Demetrius Troy. Had his hand in there, took away his first move, made him go to the second one. But the elevation of the 5'9" senior from Raleigh scores again.
We've got liftoff for Chris Clemens in the NIT. He's got 14. Troy's 3 pops out. Miller on the glass to Alonzo. Lays it off inside, and the defense prevails. Reminder, we've crossed over the 10-minute mark, so with these experimental NIT rules, each team, no team fouls at the moment. As you look at the numbers, Chris Clemens has tied the all-time record for most consecutive games with double figures. LaSalle's Lionel Simmons, 115 straight, 87-90. Chris Clemens, 115 straight games in double figures.
And this is what, 130th game he's played, 129 of them he scored in double figures. Another record. This guy, you know, we can get caught up in his numbers. Here's the thing I like about Chris Clemens. He's a phenomenal player, but Alonzo is too. But Alonzo, you got a lot of work to do to get the Spartans back in this game. Far and moving and grooving, continuing to score.
He's set 43 school records. He's the Big South all-time leading scorer, and most field goals, most free throws, literally off the charts, the things he's done. He could become the third leading scorer in college basketball history tonight. Probably will. He's on his way. Alonzo, step back, got it.
If you're UNC Greensboro, you've got to find a way to get some stops right now. The tempo of this basketball game, you know, the first time you see a little bit of a trapped action right there out of Clemens. Try to get the ball off his hand, but you got to get some stops and then some scores.
Where would the Spartans be if Alonzo hadn't heated up? He's hit 3 threes.
Yeah, you're getting a couple of baskets inside on putbacks otherwise.
Spartans come on in the zone. Gensler in the little pocket. Gets an easy 2.
And Gensler just exchanged a spot that we've seen Udi in so many times, in that mid-post area around free throw line extended. Catch, turn, score.
Right now, Udi on the bench. Milos Stacic, freshman from Serbia, who hasn't played a ton this year, is out there for the Camels. Strong rebound there from Jakor Nelson. Zips it cross court, and Gensler on the attack. The other way, here comes Massey, barreling in. The trailer, Dickey. Off to the right, Nelson, another board. UNCG has not found its rhythm yet tonight, Stan.
Well, they feel like the pressure when you get the ball, you've got to score quick, you've got to hit, instead of running some of your offense. When they've run offense, they've had chances to score. Watch this little set there. No one stops the basketball. Eventually you do, and you commit the foul. And I know if Wes Miller is talking to his team, he's concerned about how easy they've been able to score. And we mentioned a moment ago, now 18 points in the paint of the 28 that Campbell scored. 18 have been inside the painted area.
Clemens almost bumped into Wes Miller and shooting right in front of the Spartans coach. Comes up empty. Another rebound for Dickey, his 4th. Isaiah Miller. He's usually in attack mode. 6 points for Miller.
Good job that time by Dickey, not trying to force it, and then for Miller just to find his open area, and he elevates so well. Anything within 10 to 12 feet, you can almost assure he's going to score.
Miller, just a sophomore, just went over 800 career points. Now 801. Second-year Spartan from Covington, Georgia. Kick out Clemens. No, sir. And rebound, nice save in the corner by Miller.
Good job by Miller to keep that ball alive. They're taking it home.
Kevin McGeehan calling for a charge, but the officials, whose opinions count more, call it a block.
Understand the pace right there. Get there, split the defender. He's not set. Continue to attack. Attack, but be under control.
Remember when I said I could jump and slam if I had a trampoline? It looks like Isaiah Miller kind of plays with trampolines in his shoes. Just how bouncy he is all the time.
He's quick, he's got the length, and he can elevate. He's not really a big guy, but he does really elevate. One of his problems, however, not a great free throw shooter, only 56%.
Miller 3rd in the country in steals per game this year. Earned him SoCon Defensive Player of the Year honors. Playing his 70th game as a Spartan tonight.
Let's see if he makes his free throw with Wes Miller would like to put a little more pressure on the basketball. What are they going to set up? A little 1-2-1-1, little man pressure right here.
By the way, those were the first free throw attempts of the game for either side.
Yeah, both of these teams really like to get to the free throw line. Miller or Clemens, this is a good matchup.
Sure is. There they switch.
See, but when you switch, you've got to understand where Clemens may be. Good block.
Miller got a piece of it. Hunter to Miller. Tough pass. Troy the catch. Closing in on 5 minutes to play in the first half. Winner of this game will face the winner of Lipscomb and Davidson on a date to be determined.
Good spacing, 10 on the clock. Understand where your shots are coming from. May look for drive, pick and roll action. There's your drive.
Miller over Clemens for two.
And that's a smart decision. Miller can elevate at 6 feet tall. He's got the size advantage in the one-on-one matchup against Clemens. Take your time and sky over and use the glass.
Spartans were down by as many as 13. They've cut it to 6. Fans inside the Coliseum, most of them rising to their feet. UNCG could have 3 home games to win a trip to New York City. Clemens, teardrop, no. Demetrius Troy shared an embrace with Campbell coach Kevin McGeehan, whom he's standing right in front of. McGeehan recruited Troy out of Word of God High School in Raleigh.
Spacing, take your time.
Kick-out pass deflected. Will stay with G. Campbell on a little scoring drought. They haven't got a field goal in the last 3 minutes.
In that time frame, Evan, Alonzo was out. Miller was in. Miller led the scoring barrage. Now you got Alonzo back in their main score. Let's see if they try to get him going offensively now. 13 on the clock.
Wes Miller staggers Isaiah Miller and Francis Alonzo late in this first half. Shot clock winding down. Deep 3 for Troy.
Demetrius Troy is the unsung hero as far as three-point baskets. Third best on this Spartan basketball team. Made his 39th. That was a great look and a confident three-point shot.
8 straight for UNC Greensboro. Baseline jumper from Isaac Chapman squelches the Spartans' run.
Really like Isaac Chapman, his ability to stretch the floor, make that little 10 or 12-foot baseline jumper.
Troy gets it out of the double team. Quick passing inside Dickey, rejected. Chapman got a piece of it. Clemens has gone cold. He's just 6 of 15 now. And Ted Valentine calls the push-off. First foul on Chris Clemens. Turnovers forced in this first half.
And they've had games where they've forced a lot of turnovers. Of the games they played this year, they've had 15 or more 21 times, including 32 against Prairie View, a team that's playing right now in the NCAA. They've been very constant in putting pressure on teams. So far tonight, not able to do that. They've got to get some turnovers to get some easy baskets on the offensive side.
Isaiah Miller still on the bench. Troy, Hunter, Alonzo, with Dickey and Allegri up front. Oh, wide open. Dickey rejected from behind, but a foul called.
Dickey missed a good bit of the mid part of the season with injuries. And talking to Wes, he just kind of got in his rhythm a couple of weeks ago. But that's a play where you've got to catch it and explode. Help side defense a little slow that time, and Udi picks up the foul. But they really need to get some kind of inside contribution out of the 6'10 James Dickey.
Does the 6'10 include the hair or not include the hair?
The 7'1 James Dickey.
Thank you.
Maybe actually about 7'2, but who's counting?
Kyron Galloway back in for UNCG.
Dickey, known primarily as a defensive stopper, as you mentioned earlier, was a defensive player of the year a season ago. Has 56 blocks, which is third best in the Southern Conference right now. The long athleticism there, but kind of a liability sometimes as an offensive player. But when you've got great perimeter guys scoring, you don't worry about him in the half court. You worry about him following shots.
Couple missed free throws, though, for Dickey. Spartans still trail by 5.
How does UNCG elect to play now these final 2:30? Got to keep your eye on Clemens.
Too strong for Chapman. Miller had the rebound pop out of his hands. Galloway was there.
Good perimeter team on the floor for the Spartans with Troy and Miller along with Alonzo.
Francis Alonso, a dagger. His fourth three of the half. Alonso's got 12 in double figures for the 32nd time this year, including 8 straight. Inside, oh, McGeehan wanted a foul. Andrew Udy through the contact.
The strength of Udy.
Alonso, though, unable to answer. And Chapman emerges. He's been strong with the ball. Dickey's down.
Flying, yeah.
5 on 4. Clemens navigating to the basket. No good. Alonso playing with pace to Miller. Rejected by Udy. This is fun.
This is a lot of fun.
Inside quickly and fumbled away by the butterfingers of Isaac Chapman.
Got to finish.
Miller attacks baseline, and now we get a foul. And the Campbell fans behind us are like, what about the other end?
Well, I think there's been some really solid defensive plays, blocks on both sides, guys trying to make some plays. That time he got a little hip check that time by Udy.
That's number 2 on Andrew Udy.
And it's a guy that fouled out of 4 games this season for Campbell. So you definitely want to try to find a way to keep him in the basketball game. As we said earlier, the main facilitator. You talk about the scoring of Clemens, but Udy's the guy that really has led this team as far as passing, making the right plays, being in screen and roll action.
Udy is indeed coming to the bench, replaced by the smaller Nelson. Andrew Udy, 8 points, 4 rebounds in 17 minutes. Kevin McGeehan still chirping at official Ty Meixel.
How valuable has he been for this team? He leads them in assists.
That was for the tie, but it wouldn't fall for Galloway, and Dickey with a hard foul on the rebound.
And that was a good look by Galloway, but the pace of this basketball game forces you to maybe take a shot about a half a beat too soon. That might have been the case here. He had a really good look. Galloway, a solid three-point shooter. You miss, and then you get the foul call. So what it does, it slows the game down, and now you've got full court pressure. You cannot lose contain of number 3.
Notice the rule change here. UNCG only had 1 team foul in this 10-minute span, but going to the NBA rule, that was the first in the last 2 minutes.
Exactly.
Air ball flung up from Gensler, who's typically an excellent three-point shooter. Under a minute now. Greensboro trailed by as many as 13. They could tie it with a 3. Dickey keeps going.
Nice job by Dickey. Took his time in the post, collected himself, gathered, used the left hand, gets the score.
Well, Campbell's lead is almost all but disappeared as again they rise to their feet here at the Greensboro Coliseum.
The zone has been very effective, especially in getting back and containing shooters. Can't go to sleep right now. There's a lot of room, and there's a turnover.
Third of the half for Campbell, and Wes Miller's got the ball and is calling the final play of the half. UNCG led this game 2-0, then Campbell scored the next 11 points.
And what momentum it would give you at halftime if UNCG is able to score as the clock goes down to 0, take the lead at half.
5 seconds. Screen. Alonso deep. Stick back Galloway. Spartans by 1 at the half. Bunch of good looks near the basket after defenders closed out on him. But from UNCG's perspective, look, it's been a magical year. After hearing the sting of, hey, if Oregon didn't beat Washington, you would have made the tournament, I think Wes Miller was really proud of that, where he's brought this school, this university's program from 5-6 years ago to now. 25
wins a few years ago, 27 now, 28. And just knocking on the door. The postseason play the last 3 years. They've done a good job. Stop the basket on the first possession. Can the Spartans score out of this?
Demetrius Troy rattles it in.
And now you're beginning to play Spartan basketball. Solid on the defensive end, and then able to get early looks in transition. Little 2-2-1, 1-2-1-1 trap action right there. There's a foul.
It's on Dickey. Let's revisit our keys to the game.
Well, we talked about UNCG, the 3 E's. They've got to be efficient. They've got to play with energy. They've got to play with emotion. They're doing that now. And Spartan defense, they're one of the best defensive teams in the Southern Conference in the country, only allowing 67 points a game, and they're 14-1 at home.
It was the second foul on Dickey. Meanwhile, Clemens got the ball knocked away. Stays with the Camels. Chris Clemens, 14 points. Began the night 39 points away from 1,000. Not for his career, for the season. Only one guy this century has scored 1,000 points in a season in college basketball. BYU's Jimmer Fredette. Steph Curry got close. J.J. Redick got close. Kemba Walker got close. Only Jimmer got to 1,000. Chris could get there with a huge second half.
Well, he's going to have to really work for it. You can see the Spartans have tightened up their defense just a little bit, making those shots harder, a little contest action.
Alonzo burrows to the bucket, finds the ball, and loops it in.
Way to keep playing. Ball knocked out of Alonzo's hands. And again, we've talked so much about Clemens. Alonzo's a big-time, prolific scorer that can get hot a lot of ways.
UD's corner three does not bounce in. Greensboro with its largest lead and looking for more. Alonzo, 4 first-half threes. Bucket last trip, his first 2 of the game. Here's Galloway. That's good.
Great
Spartan run continues.
And remember, Galloway had a big-time basket early in the ball game, is able to play defense and get a block, and then he steps out. 51 threes made this season. Good steal.
The onslaught from UNCG swatted away by Clemens. And he had the ball poked away from behind, and the bodies tumble, and it will be Campbell ball. Currently a 13-0 run from UNC Greensboro. And Kevin McGeehan wants to talk it over. So the Camels take the timeout, which means we'll take it 2.
Picked up the 2 fouls. And that was about the same time they were stopping, UNCG was stopping Campbell's dribble penetration, which is so key for their half-court offense. You got to look for ways to get the ball moving. This is a good set after the timeout. They'll work some kind of back screen action and see if you can get a weak side cutter for Clemens or get UD involved. If he gets the basketball, good things can happen, but they're doing a good job keeping it from. There you go. Dribble handoff set.
Gensler lost it.
Yep.
Troy the steal.
They were trying to throw over the top that time to UD to let him post up on the back.
Almost that entire possession, Clemens and Miller just standing still in the corner. That's a win for Greensboro.
No question about it.
Alonzo around the screen for 3.
That's even more so a win.
17 points now for Francis Alonzo. 15 of those 17 from beyond the arc.
He's had 3 games this year, one of which was against Kentucky when he's had 5 threes.
Clemens takes his time and answers.
This guy had 10 against Longwood. What are we talking about? Don't start talking numbers and threes.
Camels come up with a steal, then turn it over. Hamilton bumps before the shot. To the dismay of the locals.
Watch Demetrius Troy. Anticipation. Sees a ball going across court. A nice clean screen. And then you try to attack. Get the ball inside. They don't count the basket. But that's why UNC Greensboro has been successful the last 10, 12 minutes of this basketball game.
Wes Miller was working on these baseline out-of-bounds situations earlier today. He said, don't move until you recognize if it's man or zone. This looks like zone. And just like they did in shoot-around, they throw it into the backcourt.
Plenty of time.
Alonzo takes it. Rebound Gensler.
All the things we said a moment ago about Campbell, ball movement, getting the ball in the right people's hands, it can make some things happen. It's got to happen on this possession. This is a good, I like the start.
Got to get Clemens a touch, don't they?
UD out of the game.
It's Stacic who hits the 3, just his 3rd 3 of the season, and he's fired up.
It's been a long time since he made a 3, too. mid-January against Longwood. That was a big-time basket by the freshman.
A lot of things I could say about you, Stan, but you prepare. You prepare as well as anybody I work with for you to be on top of Milos Stachic's last three-pointer.
Well, if we're going to do the game, you better be ready.
There's
I ain't come here to sit here and eat popcorn, contrary to popular belief.
Pretty good game to grab some popcorn and just sit back and
Not
relax.
right now. You're too nervous to eat. You got to watch stuff. Might miss something.
47-38 after the Galloway three.
The zone has been very effective by UNC Greensboro, enough to just slow down Campbell. And you got to be sure-handed passers.
Campbell's 7th turnover. Ooh, Alonso thought about it. Greensboro trailed by as many as 13 at one point in the first half.
So you like it when Alonzo's on the 2 spot and Miller or Troy or even Massey are handling the ball, because now you're always working on the strong side, weak side action. Here he comes.
Shot clock winding down. Massey pulls up, puts it in.
See how they try to take away Alonzo on the curl cut, and because that whole defense shift, that leaves a gap right there. Massey sees it, is able to take the score inside 15 feet.
Inside, Chapman, no. Second effort, no. Get out, Isaac Chapman. And a jump ball. We'll give it back to UNC Greensboro.
Isaac Chapman trying to go inside where the big dogs roam. You got to power this basketball up. But on the other side, you got to watch all the action by the Spartans. 7 turnovers. The fact that UNC Greensboro's got 9 points on second chance opportunities, and the fact that they've just ratcheted up the defense a little bit. Clemens not really getting on a roll now, still on 14.
Massey hit a bucket not long ago. Blake Massey, Jr. from Charlotte, gives it up. Now Miller for 3. Why not? He's improved that shot so much from his freshman year to his sophomore year. And even getting ready for game number 35 of the season, he was out after shoot-around for about 20 minutes, just getting more threes up.
Repetition, repetition, repetition. And playing with a lot of confidence.
In and out. Rebound, stolen away, and foul called. Jordan Whitfield snuck in there. Little guy at 6'1", grabbed the board.
You talk about Miller there. Good job off the ball, and he's able to square up. Not a lot you can do defensively if you're Whitfield. Just got to get up, try to get under him. Great elevation by Miller, and again, playing with so much confidence, very fluid on the jump shot.
James Dickey just picked up his 3rd foul, so he has a slow stroll to the bench. Whitfield triggers the inbounds, trying to sneak it into Beauty.
Spartans are very strong on the perimeter, and they can be very interchangeable. Remember, Abdul Salam came in, got a follow-up basket at 6'10", can go in and play a little bit of Legrees at 6'7". So, yeah, they're going to miss the inside presence as far as defense for Dickey, but they'll be okay offensively. They just got to do a better job boxing out.
Beauty often the pivot man from this spot. Isaiah Miller just sticking to Clemens like glue right now.
Too late.
Udy's bank shot won't fall. Rebound for Allegri.
Good job by Udy. Just shot doesn't fall, but he just worked him, had a nice look.
Udy's going to make some money playing basketball somewhere.
I totally agree. He's got a lot of weapons.
Yeah. Speaking of weapons.
Oh my goodness, did you see the elevation that time by Miller, and kisses it off the front rim?
UNCG is firmly in control right now. They stretch the lead to 16, and the Campbell fighting Camels are unraveling.
Watch Miller here. Sets him up, elevates. Look at the follow through right there. Isn't that pretty? And then boom, boom, boom. Finish high, follow through, let it hit the rim and fall in. Man, that was sweet.
Like a young Stan Luter.
You ain't lying. You saw it. Yeah.
I've heard stories.
I have too. And most of them I made up.
10-0 run right now for UNCG.
But it did kind of tipped over.
Spartans are 8 of 9 from the floor here in the second half.
And right now, if you're Campbell, you've got to get a couple of stops and get some scores, and you've got to get it done quickly.
Alonzo leaves it. Galloway.
There's your stop.
Greensboro was 8 of 9. Campbell is just 2 of 9 in the second half. Udy's shot rims out. He got his hand on the rebound, but it finds Hunter.
Spartans have done a really good job in being alert to where Clemens is on the floor and not letting him be the cutter.
Over the back is the call on Angelo Allegri.
The zone look, the man look, the matchups, everything that West has been able to throw out in the last 8 or 10 minutes of this part, and then early, have now kind of been effective as far as Chris Clemens goes. Now in a one-on-one situation, this is hard. He can get his shot. Got to get the ball out of his hands and then defend.
Chris Clemens just 3 points in the first 8 minutes of the second half after he didn't score at all the last 8 minutes of the first half.
See how they shaded that time to where he was, and when he got the ball, 2 guys came. Good block.
Great defense from the Spartans. Massey dishes. Hunter was fouled. His free throws will be taken after we take a timeout. UNC Greens
from their defense. UNCG 17-2 this year, Evan, when they've held teams under 45% so far in this basketball game. Campbell shooting 37.8.
UNC Greensboro is 20-1 during the season when leading at halftime. Their second loss when leading at halftime, unfortunately for Wes Miller and company, against Wofford in the Southern Conference Final.
You think about the fact that they lost a close game early in the year to LSU by 6 down at Baton Rouge.
Sure. Scared
the bejeebies out of Kentucky. Alonzo went nuts in that basketball game. They lose that by a couple of baskets. They've been in every ball game this year. They've had 6-game, 7-game, 8-game win streaks. This is a very solid team, and you've seen that the last 10, 20 minutes of action.
Teardrop goes down for Whitfield. You're absolutely right, Stan. All 6 of their losses were to teams that were ranked at some point during the season. 5 of the 6 losses to teams that finished the year in the top 15 in the net NCAA evaluation tool that replaced the RPI this season.
Very much a team deserving of an NCAA bid, certainly deserving of the #1 seed in the entire NIT.
Beautiful backdoor Alonzo to Troy.
They space you out, they move without the basketball. Troy, nice backdoor look, catch and score.
Hard to believe that Campbell at one point led 26-14. 43-14.
Clemens not involved in the offense right now whatsoever. They've done a good job taking him out of it.
Gensler way off again. Greensboro 9 of 12 from the field here in the second half.
And now if you're Greensboro, you can space the ball, use your time. You're a 70% free throw shooting team. Make them come out and foul you. You're about to be in the reset of the bonus. 12 seconds.
Eric Hamilton not giving away his shot. He'll get to the line.
Great spacing here. Get a down low look. Dribble at the guy. Cut baseline. Miss it. Bam. Finish and score. Good job. Good pass by Alonzo. Better layup and catch by Troy.
At this end of the floor, Udy just picked up his 3rd foul. See the team fouls, 3 for each side, 9 seconds. That will go back down to 0. These experimental rules in the NIT, get the wider lane, get the shot clock resetting to 20 instead of 30 on an offensive rebound. Do you like the experimentation in a tournament like this?
Yes. In these tournaments, I do. I don't know that I would necessarily like all the rules. I like going to the free throw line in a 1-on-1 situation late in the ball game where you've got to make the free throw. The lane, yeah, that's okay. It spaces, gives you more time to space the floor.
There have not been a surplus of 3-second violations with the wider lanes tonight, wider by about 1.5 feet.
There's your trap action and get the ball out of Clemens' hands, and now he gets it back at the top of the key. But there's always somebody pointing, the best defender in the conference against the best scorer in the country.
Clemens fires, and he was fouled from beyond the arc. 3 free throws coming for one of the nation's best free throw shooters.
And I was about to say, you see how far away from the basket they pushed him away, that being the Clemens, but then I forgot who it was. About that time he cranks up a 3, and you cannot foul a three-point shooter. We know this. We've talked about this on several occasions, Evan, throughout the season. Have we not?
We have.
They don't listen, I guess.
No. Chris Clemens has work to do to get to his season average 30 points. You don't know when in college basketball has averaged 30 per game since Charles Jones did it for Long Island in '97?
It's been a while. Well, how about this? I was talking to a friend of mine today. He and I are the only people that I know that have covered this year the nation's leading scorers in Division I and Division II. How about that?
Who's the leading scorer in Division II?
The kid Amir Hinton from over at Shaw. He's averaging about 30 a ball game, too. And you see the unique look at the free throw line. He'll go to the line again, I'm certain, than of Clemens. He's kind of about a foot off from the middle of the nail in the floor, which has usually been all your spot. Now, he's made those 3 free throws, right? So does this warm him up? Let's see what he does the next couple of times he's got the basketball.
And stepping out of bounds, trying to get it through the pressure. Demetrius Troy turns it over. Kevin McGeehan all over it.
Can't be careless right now if you're the Spartans. Got to be smart with the basketball, test your passes, be strong, use your clock.
Udy playing with 3 fouls, had it poked away, stays the same way. Campbell ball.
And Udy had a clear path to the basket, and Whitfield on his cut kind of gets in the way, brings the defender there. Dickey's got the 3 fouls. You want to work on him.
Udy right at Dickey. There's the 4th foul on Big James. Wes Miller sends Kyron Galloway to the table.
We've seen them have success tonight isolating Udy in a high post situation where he can be in triple threat position. He can dribble, he can pass, he can score. This time he puts it on the floor against Dickey on his back, and Dickey now will have to sit for a while with 9:38 remaining in the ball game.
It's not just Clemens that can make free throws. This Campbell team, excellent. Almost 76% for the season, and maybe middle of March, but still plenty of teaching going on between Miller and Dickey. Udy goes 2 for 2. He's in a double figures.
One thing I like about both these teams, and I've had a chance to see them some over the season, and then in preparing, they're very sound fundamentally. They don't turn the ball over a great deal. I think Campbell came in averaging about 10 turnovers a game. Greensboro about 11. They don't turn it over. They don't make a lot of silly mistakes.
Isaiah Miller, low pass, scooped up by Allegri, and ball was on the floor. Miller had it and then threw it away, and it's going to be Chris Clemens and Campbell's ball, and Wes Miller right in the face of Vladimir Voyar-Tadal.
Good job of officiating by Vlad, kind of listening to the ref. Wes kind of goes off on him. This is okay. This goes away. Watch this. You be the judge at home. There's a deflection. Get there. Get your hand in there. Watch this. Get your hands there. Kicks out. Bam. And watch Wes. He still got the moves. He still got the moves. Coach Williams would love that.
In between shoot-around and tip-off, he was running stairs in the empty Coliseum.
Hey, he still got it, but it didn't matter. It didn't work for him.
The steal from Miller. Another one. Isaiah Miller, coast to coast.
Just when you think you can get back in this game, Greensboro makes a defensive play and turns your defensive mistake into their offensive play.
Udy rejected by Galloway. Wow. Miller with a head of steam again. 2 more.
Need a timeout. Might have to take one here. Coach might be waiting an under 8 TV timeout. Spartans have all the momentum.
Campbell needed it. Rims out on Udy. I think Miller wants to push it again. Look out. Knocked out of bounds by Campbell. Will stay with the Spartans as they've reopened up an 18-point lead.
So much is talked about Isaiah Miller, his ability to score in the open floor at speed. That ball goes off the knee. But watch this, coming down the lane, shifts the ball to the left hand, protects on the other side, and is able to score. He's got the speed. Watch this, coming at you, coming at you, coming at you. Up, got Clemens crossed up. So Clemens found out what he's been doing to everybody else. He saw it happen to him, and Miller goes in and scores.
That last shot hit the backboard outside the square, but from the angle it was perfect. Here's Malik Massey, out to Troy.
Look at the spacing the Spartans have on offense.
They're really well coached, Dan. Really well coached.
You space it, you're able to drive and kick. A lot of weapons offensively for the UNCG Spartans, the #1 seed in the NIT.
10 points for Troy. Here's another Isaiah Miller steal. And miss. Troy the rebound. And somehow the Spartans didn't get a bucket out of that. They still have their largest lead of the game, though. It's 20. Chris Clemens trying to detonate. Draws the foul. Goodness.
Told you, a little dynamite.
3 and 7 for Bob McKillop's Davidson Wildcats tonight. 10 of 17 from the floor.
How about my man Axel Goodwinson?
He's 9 and 3 with 7 assists.
Smooth.
They're a good team.
Very good team. Surprised that they just didn't have it in the second half against St. Louis. The A-10 court semis.
Billikens went on to win that A-10 championship, beating St. Bonaventure in the final.
Okay, if you're Campbell right now, you got 7:30, you've got a guy that can score the basketball, you've got to play better defense, you can't allow Greensboro only one shot. You've got to be quick in your half-court offense, and if you get transition baskets, you've got to score off that. For Greensboro, run the clock, drive when you get an opportunity, and score every time. Second chance.
Shot clock resets to 20. Eric Hamilton, the dish, the score. Miller is having himself a night.
We talk so much about the offensive ability of Alonzo, but Isaiah Miller, averaging just a shade under 15 points a game, has really been dominant on the defensive end and offensively driving and scoring tonight.
Miller upped his average to 16 a game in conference play. He's got 21 tonight. Career high's 25. He's approaching that. Hamilton grabs another rebound for UNCG.
Had that mid-season against Furman. One of the few teams that was able to knock off the Spartans. And here you go.
How fun would it be if Furman and UNCG met at Madison Square Garden in a couple weeks?
Man, hey, Southern Conference had a heck of a year. I'll tell you, they have had a heck of a year. Hope we get to be there to do that game.
Massey step back, why not? Couple buckets for Massey tonight. The lead swells to 21.
Weapons.
23, excuse me.
Guys stepping up when your opportunity comes.
Campbell, one of its last 11. UNCG 14 of 20 in the second half. The Campbell drought continues. It just goes to show you how quickly things can change. First 8 minutes of this basketball game, Campbell looked like the #1 seed in the NIT. Big screen knocked Clemens down, and it's going to get called, nullifying that Miller field goal attempt. Hamilton picks up his second.
Yeah, Evan, you're right. At the 12:07 mark, I think it was 19-6.
Yep.
Campbell. And you're beginning to wonder, okay, emotionally, I didn't really question the emotion of Greensboro. What I questioned was their effort. They weren't playing with the intensity that they needed to.
You don't see very often in college basketball these days a head coach taking 2 of his 4 timeouts in the first 8 minutes of the game. We saw that tonight.
Well, I think you have to kind of jumpstart your guys. Hey, let's play. Match the intensity you're seeing on the other side of the floor.
Chapman's kick out knocked away by Alonzo. Greensboro hasn't even gotten much offense from Alonzo here in the second half. Allegri. He's off the mark. Rebound, Udy. Long pass ahead. Chapman for 2. Freshman from Jasper, Alabama. Had 18 points against Gardner-Webb in the Big South semifinals, but this Campbell team lost on their home floor to Gardner-Webb, and then the Running Bulldogs under Tim Kraft won the Big South. A couple days later, winning on the home floor, the Radford Highlanders. And their prize is a date with the Virginia Cavaliers. Demetrius Troy adds 3 more to his night.
Remember, Troy had the big basket to begin the second half to really open things up. One shot and you're done.
Chris Clemons now 7 for 20, 21 points in what very well could be, will likely be his final college basketball game of a remarkably historic career. You know, he's a few points away from third place all-time in the all-time scoring list. 74-48 now. Clemons 24 points away from Lionel Simmons, who's third all-time. Interestingly, he tied Lionel Simmons' double-figure scoring streak earlier tonight. 115 consecutive games for Clemons.
That's a lot of ball games. That's a lot of scoring.
To not have an off night.
And think about the fact that people know you're gearing your defenses to stop him
completely.
And he's able to find ways to score. You know, at 92 times he's scored 20 points or more. And you look at what he's been able to do just this season alone.
And Stan, you look at the players that he's passed throughout the year.
My goodness.
The guys like Tyler Hansborough and Danny Manning and J.J. Redick and Hersey Hawkins and Oscar Robertson.
And Elvin Hayes, just to name a few. I mean, you know, you look at the great names in college basketball and people that have scored. You know, Alfonso Ford, who played out in Mississippi Valley. He's done it. The guy from Campbell that was really didn't get many offers in college and a high school at Millbrook High, and now is going to be one of the top scorers in college basketball history.
Isaiah Miller's on his way to a pretty stellar career as well. Crossed over the 800-point mark tonight. The sophomore from Georgia has 23, too shy of a career high. Meanwhile, Clemons hangs in the air, does not get the bounce. Chapman fouled on the second putback try, and Clemons with a glare for Ted Valentine as if he's thinking he should have gotten free throws as well. UNCG's going to move on. We'll see if
playing with a lot of confidence. Isaiah Miller only 2 points away from his season high. And here's the thing about it. We came in talking about, you know, Alonzo. And, of course, you're talking about Clemons. But I'll tell you, the offensive star of the game has been that man right there, Mr. Miller.
He also has 3 steals, of course. And
of course
he gets those relatively quietly because he gets them every single game.
3 steals, has a block. He's worked hard.
It's kind of the ideal situation. You got a great scorer in Alonzo graduating. Isaiah Miller's going to be a junior next year, ready to seize that torch.
You're losing, you know, he's a really solid backcourt in Alonzo along with Demetrius Troy. But you're right, you have Miller, and they've got some guys that they're ready to bring up and make some plays. Massey being one of those guys, and we saw him make a contribution early in the ballgame.
Right now, Chris Clemons 1 point behind Lionel Simmons for third all-time. Pete Maravich, number 1. Freeman Williams, Portland State, number 2. Lionel Simmons may have another minute or two as the number 3 scorer all-time. Alonzo will take it. The exclamation point for UNC Greensboro. 79-53. Alonzo's got 20.
6 threes, ties his season high. Had that against Chattanooga, that of Alonzo. So you've got Alonzo you've got to worry about, Miller you've got to worry about, and then a tough defense in the Spartans.
Udy nothing but net from the baseline. He's got a dozen tonight. Ted Valentine make that Vlad Voyard to Dahl hanging in, and our camera operator on the baseline hanging tough as well.
And all that, I think they got Udy for the foul, too.
Number 4 on Andrew Udy, senior from Lebanon, Pennsylvania, playing his 130th college basketball game tonight. Heck of a season for Campbell. They closed the season on quite a run, beat Radford the final day of the regular season. Dramatic fashion to clinch the number 1 spot, share the Big South regular season title, the league's automatic bid in the NIT.
Yeah, we were talking a minute ago about Greensboro.
Isaac Miller, that was halfway down, popped out.
But they lost a close game to Abilene Christian early in December and also to Georgetown. So this is a good basketball team, and there you go.
Chris Clemens is now the third all-time scorer in college basketball history. He's on the podium. Jordan Whitfield for three, and Campbell takes a timeout. A quick little run makes
Billy Lee.
Duke won that game. 82-56. 27 years ago today, as Isaiah Miller has a career-high 25.
Pressure didn't protect the backside. Just a quick run out. Easy flush. Miller's had a heck of a game tonight as well.
What do you remember most as we see Clemens had three more? What do you remember most about that Camels Blue Devils matchup 27 years ago?
The place was electric, as it would always be. That was a year I think Duke ended up winning the national championship.
Yes, they did.
And it was just a great, it was a great night. And Campbell and Duke had never played, and everybody was excited in Bowie Creek and all the way up. But Duke too strong for them. In this NCAA play at its best. And everybody wants to knock off Goliath, and that was a special year in North Carolina for basketball. Inbound situation, Miller gets away on the backside and just kind of let him go. And I'm telling you, the kid, they list him at 6 feet tall, but I'd love to see what his vertical is, because he really can elevate. Long arms, great body, athletic, can defend, can score.
Francis Alonso's career will live to see another day. And he's closing in on Kyle Hines, the all-time leading scorer in Greensboro history, whose sister is currently a manager on this Greensboro basketball team. Four-year manager.
Keeping up with the points, making sure her brother doesn't get past. We'll give him an extra towel or something.
Tatiana Hines, the sister of Kyle, who's currently playing in Russia.
Kyle was
Chapman.
A bad boy, too. He could play.
I was wondering if Chapman was going to get Clemens. He's not. Clemens sitting right now 3,221. Before this year in college basketball, only 8 3,000-point scorers all time. You had Chris Clemens and Mike Dahm both cross over the 3,000 mark the same season. Plenty of history. 2019, Alonso converts at the line. He's got 22. Too much offense from the Spartans in the second half. They've shot 66% since halftime, 7 of 10 from 3. Chapman adds 2 more. This is taking a look of a schoolyard game these last few possessions.
And you remember how Chapman kind of got Campbell off to a good start with a couple of inside baskets, and you were very optimistic about the way they could score. Throw it up. The only thing we see Miller hasn't done well tonight, he's not been a good lob passer.
Chris Clemens adds to his prolific total. 3,223 and another 30-point game to match his season average. And he fouls Demetrius Troy and then apologizes for it. Well, he didn't play in the the NCAA tournament, but not too many other things Chris Clemens hasn't done in his career.
Take a great look at him. What a wonderful career. Thank you, Chris Clemens, for what you've done for the Big South, for Campbell University, and for college basketball.
Showing that a guy doesn't need to be 6 feet tall to score a ton of points.
Exactly. You don't have to be 6'7", 6'8", 6'10", or whatever. You can be anything. Give him an opportunity and let him make the best of it. And he found a program that believed in him. He believed in the program. And 3,000-plus points later, you're watching history. Score another to get to 25. That's an even number. I like 25 better than I do 18.
They're going to count that basket.
Of course they are. Of course. Spartan fans aren't into the history like we are right now. You know what I'm saying? I understand. Thank you, Chris Clemens. Millbrook High School, Raleigh, North Carolina. There's a drive, contact. It probably should have been on the floor. It probably should have been on the floor, but that's okay.
They just waved off the free throw, saying that Clemens crossed the line too early. Yeah. So he's going to lose that last point, perhaps, of his career on a lane violation on a free throw. Still, remarkable. 3,225 points. Third most in NCAA history. Pete Maravich, Freeman Williams, Chris Clemens. The top three.
You got a chance to watch it by watching this ball game. Thank you, America. Saw history.
Thank you, Stan Luter.
Thank you, Evan Lepler.
Wes Miller and the Spartans have their first NIT victory in school history.
First postseason victory.
And their school record 29th win of the year. Greensboro moving on to face the winner of Lipscomb and Davidson.
I'd pay to watch that game. I won't, but I'd pay to watch it if I could, because that's going to be a heck of a ball game if they play or either one.
You'll find your way into a credential somehow, I'm sure.
I got one.
After the buzzer, UD slams it in. Wes Miller